Las Vegas has always sold itself as the city where anyone could live like royalty for a weekend. Cheap buffets, free parking, free drinks, and hotel rooms under $50, that was the promise pulling millions of Americans into the desert. For decades, the Strip thrived on the idea that money didn't matter, because in Vegas, everyone was treated like a king. But if you visited recently, you know that dream has collapsed. A bottle of water can cost more than your first $1.99 buffet. Parking isn't just expensive, it's charged by the hour. Resort fees push hotel bills to shocking totals. Even grabbing a simple breakfast can feel like you're paying fine dining prices. So what happened? How did a city once famous for giving everything away suddenly turn into one of the most expensive destinations in America? The truth is, none of this is an accident. Behind the neon lights and flashing slot machines, powerful forces from Wall Street investors to corporate executives rewrote the rules that made Vegas special. They turned cheap thrills into premium luxuries, and they did it with one goal in mind: maximizing profit. In this video, you'll discover how Las Vegas went from paradise for the everyday traveler to a playground where every step has a price tag. And by the end, you'll understand why everything in Las Vegas is so expensive and what that means for the city's future. In the 1970s and 1980s, Las Vegas was a completely different world from the city we know today. Back then, the Strip wasn't about five-star celebrity chefs or designer shopping malls. It was about cheap thrills. Imagine walking into a casino and seeing a sign for a $1.99 buffet. Piles of shrimp, carved roast beef, endless desserts, all for less than the price of a movie ticket. Parking free, drinks free. Even hotel rooms could be found for $25 or $30 a night, just steps away from the neon heart of the city. This wasn't charity. It was a strategy known as the loss leader. The casinos were willing to lose money on food rooms and perks because they knew where you would end up at the slot machines, the blackjack tables, the roulette wheels. As one old casino boss famously said, "We'll give you dinner for $2 because you'll lose $200 before the night is over." And for most visitors, that trade-off felt more than fair. The atmosphere was designed to make everyday Americans feel like high rollers. A factory worker from Cleveland, a school teacher from Kansas, or a retiree from Florida could step into the bright lights of Vegas and live out a fantasy eating like royalty, sleeping in glamorous hotels, and drinking cocktails by the pool without worrying about the bill. Las Vegas was built on the idea that anyone, no matter their income, could be treated like a king or queen for the weekend. The psychology was brilliant. By keeping the basics cheap, casinos lowered visitors' defenses. People didn't feel like they were being squeezed. They felt like they were being spoiled. And when you feel like the city is giving you everything for free, you're more willing to take risks, whether it's pulling the lever on a slot machine or sliding a stack of chips across the green felt. The house always had the advantage, and the math guaranteed that the longer you played, the more you lost. But you didn't notice because you were too busy enjoying that prime rib buffet or sipping on another free cocktail. For many Americans, these were the golden years of Las Vegas. Families planned cross-country road trips just to see the glittering Strip. Couples celebrated anniversaries with cheap champagne in oversized glasses. Bachelor parties ran wild on free-flowing drinks and endless shrimp cocktails. It was messy, loud, and often a little tacky, but it was affordable and it felt accessible to everyone. That accessibility became the soul of the city. Las Vegas wasn't just a playground for the rich. It was the place where middle America came to dream. A man could walk in with $500 in his pocket and feel like a millionaire for 2 nights. Sure, most of that money would probably be gone by Sunday morning, but the memories, the shows, the food, the laughter felt worth every penny. So, what changed? How did the city go from welcoming everyday travelers with open arms to charging them for every sip of water and every step they take? The answer lies in a massive shift that would rewrite the entire business model of Las Vegas. A shift that began when the corporations and Wall Street investors moved in and decided that giving things away for free was no longer the future. The turning point for Las Vegas came in the 1990s and early 2000s, when the city's casinos shifted from being family-run empires to becoming assets on the balance sheets of giant Wall Street corporations. For decades, the Strip had been ruled by flamboyant casino bosses, men like Steve Wynn, who built the Mirage and Bellagio, or Sheldon Adelson, who transformed the Venetian into a global brand. These men thought like showmen. Their focus was on spectacle glamour and keeping the guests inside their resorts as long as possible. If that meant giving away cheap buffets or free parking, so be it. The casino floor would make up for it. But by the mid-2000s, a new era had arrived. The once family-style businesses of the Strip became publicly traded corporations. MGM Resorts, Caesars Entertainment, and others began to dominate. The men in charge were no longer showmen. They were CEOs answering to shareholders. And shareholders don't care about shrimp cocktails or free parking. They care about quarterly earnings reports and profit margins. This was the moment when the soul of Las Vegas began to change. The old business model, keep prices low to get people in the door, then let them gamble, was tossed aside. In its place came a corporate strategy: extract maximum value from every visitor at every possible moment. No more $1.99 buffets. Instead, Michelin star chefs opened glamorous restaurants. Rooms once $30 a night shot up to $150 or more, not including the new resort fee quietly added at checkout. Executives studied spreadsheets instead of casino floors. They realized that the modern tourist wasn't spending as much time gambling. The younger generation preferred nightclubs, concerts, and celebrity restaurants. Gambling revenue as a percentage of the Strip's total profits began to shrink. By the 2010s, for the first time in history, non-gaming revenue food drinks shows rooms outpaced gaming itself. That flipped the Vegas economy on its head. What did that mean for the average tourist? It meant you were no longer a valued guest being courted with freebies. You were now a revenue stream. As one corporate insider admitted in an interview, we realized we'd been leaving money on the table. Why give things away when people are willing to pay? That line, why give things away, became the new philosophy of Vegas. With Wall Street backing them, the corporations invested billions in turning Vegas into a luxury destination. Out went the tacky buffets, in came celebrity chefs like Gordon Ramsay, Wolfgang Puck, and Giada De Laurentiis. Out went the free parking garages, in came electronic gates and $20 fees. Even the drinks on the casino floor weren't truly free anymore. You had to be actively gambling often at higher stakes tables to get a cocktail. Everything was redesigned to make sure no dollar slipped through without being collected. And then there were the hidden charges. Resort fees, which started as a modest $10 or $15, ballooned to $40, $50, or even more per night by the 2020s. These fees covered things you might never use: complimentary gym access, free Wi-Fi, local phone calls nobody makes anymore. But they were unavoidable, and they turned a $150 room into a $220 bill. Tourists felt cheated, but the corporations shrugged. After all, Wall Street rewarded them for squeezing every penny out of their guests. The transformation was profound. Las Vegas was no longer the cheap escape it once promised. It was now a carefully engineered machine designed to monetize your every move. Want to park your car? Pay. Want to swim in the hotel pool? Pay. Want to see a show? Triple the price from 10 years ago. Even something as simple as ordering room service came with delivery surcharges. For longtime fans of Vegas, this new reality felt like a betrayal. They remembered when casinos welcomed them with open arms, eager to lose money at the slots while enjoying cheap perks. Now they felt nickel and dimed at every turn. And yet for the corporations, the strategy was working. Profits soared, stock prices climbed, and Wall Street kept pushing for more. This corporate takeover created the modern Vegas we know today, a place where glitz and glamour come at a steep price, and the old promise of anyone can be treated like royalty has been replaced by a new motto: you'll pay for everything because you already are. If there's one thing that truly frustrates modern visitors to Las Vegas, it's the endless maze of hidden fees. On the surface, a room might look affordable, maybe $149 a night. But by the time you reach the checkout screen, the price has ballooned thanks to something called the resort fee. Introduced quietly in the early 2000s, these fees started small, maybe $10 or $15 per night supposedly, to cover amenities. But by the 2020s, they had exploded to $40, $50, even $75 per night at the biggest resorts on the Strip. And here's the kicker, you can't decline them. They're mandatory no matter how little you actually use. What exactly are you paying for? The list usually includes things like Wi-Fi access to the gym, a couple of bottled waters, and local phone calls. But ask yourself, who is traveling to Las Vegas in 2025 to make local phone calls from a hotel room? Guests feel scammed, and yet the practice continues because it's a gold mine. By hiding a significant portion of the room rate under a separate fee, casinos can advertise cheaper base prices online, tricking booking sites into ranking them higher while still charging you the true cost once you arrive. And it doesn't stop at hotel rooms. Parking, once proudly free across the Strip, is now a cash cow. Resorts that once competed to offer the easiest parking now slap on charges of $15 to $25 per day. Some even add hourly fees, punishing guests who just want to stop in quickly. As one angry tourist posted online, "I paid more to park my car than to rent it." That kind of sticker shock has become routine. Then there are the service charges built into everything. Order room service, expect a delivery fee and an automatic gratuity added on top. Buy a concert ticket, you'll see a base price of $100, but by the time you click through to check out, mysterious processing fees and venue charges can push it to $140 or more. Even sitting down at a restaurant can come with a concession fee of 4% or 5% tacked onto the bill with no explanation. Psychologists call this drip pricing. It's a tactic where companies present a low upfront cost, then drip additional charges on throughout the purchase process. Studies show customers are more likely to accept it than if they saw the full price up front, even though in the end they pay more. Las Vegas has perfected this art. Every little fee feels small in the moment, but added together, they create a staggering total. The impact on tourists is clear. Stories circulate constantly of visitors who thought they were getting a deal, only to be blindsided at checkout. A family of 4 books a $600 weekend getaway, only to find the final bill closer to $1,000 once resort fees, parking taxes, and service charges are included. For many, it feels like betrayal. They came expecting the spirit of old Vegas, cheap deals, free perks, and instead find a corporate trap. Locals aren't spared either. Workers who used to rely on free or cheap amenities now face the same inflated costs. Imagine being a Las Vegas resident trying to enjoy a night out on the Strip and realizing you're paying tourist-level prices in your own city. Some locals now avoid the Strip altogether, choosing off-Strip casinos or nearby towns like Henderson or Summerlin, where parking is still free and meals are closer to what they used to be. So the question becomes, how far can this go? How many hidden fees will customers tolerate before they stop coming? For now, the system still works because tourists often don't discover the true costs until it's too late, when they're already on vacation, already locked into their hotel, already standing in front of a parking kiosk. But frustration is growing. Social media is full of angry rants, viral posts about outrageous bills and warnings that Vegas isn't worth it anymore. Yet from the corporate side, the strategy is brilliant. Resort fees alone bring in hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Parking garages, once a loss leader, are now profit centers. Every hidden fee boosts the bottom line, and Wall Street rewards it. As long as tourists keep paying, even grudgingly, there's little incentive to change. This creeping wave of charges has transformed Las Vegas from the city of freebies into the city of nickel and diming. The magic of cheap escapes is gone, replaced by a relentless reminder that in modern Vegas, every moment has a price tag. And if you think the fees are shocking now, wait until you see what happened in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, when the pressure to recover losses pushed prices into the stratosphere. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020, Las Vegas faced one of the darkest moments in its history. For the first time since the city's rise, the Strip went silent. Hotels closed, casinos shut their doors. The iconic neon lights still glowed, but the streets beneath them were empty, eerily quiet. It was a devastating blow to a city built entirely on crowds' energy and constant flow. With tourism halted, Las Vegas lost billions in revenue almost overnight. By the time restrictions eased in 2021, the corporations that ran the Strip were in trouble. Many had taken on massive debt just to survive. Executives faced a brutal question: how do we recover those losses? The answer once again was to push prices higher. And when tourists finally returned hungry for travel after a year of lockdowns, they walked straight into a more expensive Vegas than ever before. This phenomenon became known as revenge travel. Americans who had been stuck at home were suddenly willing to splurge. They wanted vacations, parties, concerts, anything to escape the shadow of the pandemic. Las Vegas capitalized on that mood. Room rates surged. Buffets that had closed never came back, replaced by pricier restaurants. Show tickets doubled, sometimes tripled. Even small luxuries like poolside cabanas were suddenly priced at hundreds of dollars per day. One visitor in 2022 recalled, "I used to pay $20 for the all-you-can-eat buffet. Now a single plate of pasta costs the same." That wasn't exaggeration. The city had shifted permanently. Instead of using cheap deals to lure in guests, casinos saw an opportunity. If people were willing to spend after COVID, why ever go back to discounts? Data backs this up. By 2023, average hotel rates in Las Vegas hit record highs, often $200 to $300 per night at major Strip resorts, not including resort fees. Concerts by stars like Adele or U2 sold tickets for $500 to $1,000 apiece, filling stadiums despite the jaw-dropping costs. Even simple services like ride shares or taxis from the airport climbed steeply. But here's the catch: while prices soared, wages for many Vegas workers did not. Bartenders, dealers, and hospitality staff faced higher costs of living themselves, from rent in Clark County to groceries that spiked with inflation. Some began to question whether the new Vegas was sustainable. How could a city once beloved for its accessibility survive if ordinary people could no longer afford to visit? The pandemic also killed off many traditions. The legendary buffets, once a symbol of Vegas hospitality, became casualties of cost-cutting and health concerns. A few reopened, but at prices that shocked longtime fans. The days of the $1.99 shrimp cocktail were gone for good. In its place, $40 brunches and $100 dinners. Tourists noticed. On social media posts, with captions like "Vegas isn't fun anymore," or "I'll go to Miami instead," gained traction. Competing destinations such as Atlantic City, Macau, or even resort towns like Cancun suddenly looked more appealing to middle-class travelers who once saved all year for a Vegas getaway. Still, the corporations doubled down. They argued that the demand was there, and for a time they were right. Despite online complaints, visitor numbers rebounded. People kept coming even as prices climbed. But the profile of the visitor began to shift. Instead of families on road trips or retirees with limited budgets, Las Vegas increasingly catered to wealthier travelers, bachelor parties with big spending power, and international tourists prepared to drop thousands in a single weekend. This raised a haunting question: is Las Vegas abandoning the very people who made it famous? The factory workers, the teachers, the everyday Americans who once filled the casinos and gave the city its electric energy, they were being priced out. And in their place came a more elite but narrower demographic. The pandemic didn't just disrupt Vegas temporarily, it accelerated a long-term transformation. What began as a quick fix to cover pandemic losses hardened into a permanent business model charge: more, give less. As one analyst put it, COVID didn't change Vegas, it exposed what it was becoming all along. By the mid-2020s, the city's identity had shifted so far that many wondered if it could still be called the city for everyone. Prices weren't just higher, they were astronomical. And that left a new debate hanging over the Strip: who really pays the price for modern Las Vegas and who's cashing in? Behind every rising bill in Las Vegas, there's a clear question: who really pays the price and who walks away richer than ever? On the surface, it might seem simple: tourists spend more, corporations profit more. But the ripple effects go much deeper, shaping the lives of workers, visitors, and the very soul of the city. Let's start with the people who keep Vegas running: the workers. From dealers on the casino floor to housekeepers cleaning hotel rooms, these are the faces behind the neon. Yet while the corporations raised prices on almost everything, workers' wages did not keep up. Many employees live in neighborhoods far from the Strip, where rents in Clark County have soared in recent years. A housekeeper earning $15 an hour now faces rent that rivals big coastal cities. Bartenders and waitstaff who once thrived on tourist tips now find guests tipping less because bills are already padded with automatic service charges. For many workers, the dream of Vegas prosperity feels like it's slipping away. Then there are the tourists themselves. For decades, middle-class Americans saw Las Vegas as an affordable escape, a place where a modest budget could stretch into unforgettable memories. A couple from Ohio could fly in for a weekend, spend $600 total, and go home with stories of buffet shows and blackjack tables. Today, that same couple might face a bill closer to $2,000 for the same trip. Flights are higher, hotels layer on resort fees, and shows charge premium prices. For many, the city that once promised a taste of luxury now feels out of reach. The result is a kind of economic gatekeeping. The visitors who still come are increasingly those with higher disposable income: bachelor parties, willing to drop thousands at nightclubs, wealthy gamblers from overseas, or corporate groups attending conventions. These guests may spend more, but they don't bring the same energy or diversity that once made the Strip so vibrant. Las Vegas risks becoming a playground for the few rather than a celebration for the many. And then there are the corporations and investors. For them, this transformation has been nothing short of golden. Wall Street analysts cheer when companies like MGM Resorts or Caesars Entertainment report record earnings driven not by gambling, but by non-gaming revenue streams code for all those hidden fees, overpriced cocktails, and sky-high room rates. Shareholders, not tourists, are the real winners of modern Vegas. Every new fee is a line of profit. Every eliminated buffet is a cost saved. For the companies, this is efficiency. For the visitors, it feels like exploitation. The contrast couldn't be starker. On one side, glossy annual reports boasting of billions in revenue. On the other, workers struggling to pay rent, tourists shocked by bills that drain their vacation savings. The city's marketing still shows images of fun, excitement, and inclusivity, but the lived reality often tells a harsher story. There's also a cultural cost. The old Vegas spirit, that sense of generosity, of letting ordinary people feel extraordinary for a weekend, is fading. Ask longtime visitors and they'll tell you stories of when the dealer slipped them an extra drink, or when the casino comped their dinner just for playing a few hours. Now those gestures are rare. Everything has a price and every smile feels calculated. So who truly pays? It's the workers squeezed by stagnant wages and higher living costs. It's the tourists, especially the middle class, priced out of the fun they once loved. And who benefits? It's the corporations, the executives, the shareholders, the ones who turned the Strip into a carefully managed profit machine. The irony is painful. Las Vegas built its reputation on being the people's playground, a place where anyone could roll the dice. But in chasing short-term profits, it may be sacrificing its long-term identity. If the city continues down this path, it risks becoming a hollow version of itself, glamorous on the outside but empty of the vibrant energy that made it legendary. And yet the story isn't over. There are voices calling for change, for balance, for a new vision of Vegas that restores some of its lost magic. The question is, what solutions exist, and can the city reinvent itself before it loses the very soul that made it famous? After years of skyrocketing prices and endless fees, the big question now is, can Las Vegas find a way back to balance? The city has reinvented itself many times before, from a dusty gambling town in the 1940s to the family-friendly experiment of the 1990s to the luxury empire of today. But each reinvention carried risk. If the Strip pushes too far into exclusivity, it may lose the mass appeal that built its legend. One possible solution lies in tiered experiences. Instead of forcing every visitor into a one-size-fits-all model of high prices and mandatory fees, casinos could offer packages tailored to different budgets. Imagine all-inclusive bundles where guests know the full cost upfront, covering rooms, meals, and basic amenities without hidden charges. This could restore trust among middle-class visitors who now feel tricked by resort fees and surcharges. Another opportunity is innovation. Vegas has always thrived by offering spectacles you can't find anywhere else. From Cirque du Soleil to the New Sphere, the city knows how to amaze. If corporations shift their focus from squeezing guests to wowing them, they may find profits can come from excitement rather than extraction. As one analyst put it, Vegas doesn't need to be cheap, but it does need to feel fair. There's also the question of competition. Atlantic City, Macau, and even regional casino hubs across the United States are eager to capture disillusioned Vegas visitors. If too many Americans start asking, why fly to Nevada when I can get the same experience closer and cheaper, the Strip will be forced to respond. Pressure from outside markets might do what tourist complaints alone cannot push executives to reconsider. Finally, there's the matter of the city's workers. Without fair wages and livable conditions, the very people who create the Vegas experience will burn out. Stronger labor agreements, better pay, and respect for employees are not just ethical choices, they're good business. A smiling dealer or a proud server adds more magic to the experience than any neon sign ever could. In the end, the future of Las Vegas depends on whether it can remember what made it great inclusivity spectacle and the promise that anyone could step into the desert and feel like royalty for a weekend. The city doesn't need to go back to $1.99 buffets, but it does need to rediscover the balance between profit and pleasure. If it fails, it risks becoming just another overpriced destination. If it succeeds, it can once again be the city where the impossible feels within reach. So after all the stories, all the numbers, and all the hidden bills, one truth stands clear: Las Vegas is expensive on purpose. The city that once lured visitors with $1.99 buffets, free parking, and cheap hotel rooms has transformed into a finely tuned machine built to maximize profit at every turn. From Wall Street boardrooms to the shimmering casinos on the Strip, the strategy has been deliberate: give less, charge more, and trust that the magic of Vegas will keep people coming back. But this shift raises a bigger question: at what cost? For workers, it's long hours and stagnant wages that don't match the soaring cost of living. For tourists, it's the shock of hidden fees, inflated room rates, and the creeping sense that they're no longer guests, but simply revenue streams. And for the city itself, it's the risk of losing the very identity that made it legendary, a place where anyone, regardless of wealth, could escape into fantasy for a weekend. Yet history shows that Las Vegas has never been static. It's a city of reinvention, a place that thrives on spectacle and change. The same boldness that once turned a desert into a global icon could one day restore balance. Whether through new packages, fairer pricing, or fresh innovation, the chance to win back the everyday traveler still exists. In the end, the neon will keep shining, the dice will keep rolling, and the music will keep pounding through the desert night. The only question is, when the bill comes due, will people still believe it's worth the price?